Onto the summit, we reached the top. Part 2. This was slow and difficult. Once we had cleared these, there was nothing barring our way to top but a snow-covered incline, sloping less and less as it neared the top. These last 60 or 70 feet up the top were not very dangerous, but we kept up the same steady pace, and we reached the small flattened summit almost together. During the last 50 feet from the peak, Hilary and I were moving about 20 feet apart. We were tied together with a rope. Most of the time the rope was loose, but when we went over dangerous ground, we drew it taut. This rope was a symbol. It tied us together. One could not move without the other. We were not two individuals but a team. I have been asked many times who was first. When we were within reach of the summit, I did not think of who was going to be first. I am sure that Hilary was not thinking that. Climbing takes all your attention. You have many more important worries. What does it matter whether I reached the top first or Hilary? Our main thought was that both of us reached the top. We had to. One couldn't do it alone. If there had been a difference of 1,000 feet between us, then one could make the claim that he was first. But even then, only the man behind him could confirm the distance between the two of them. When we reached Kathmandu, we discovered that a controversy had arisen. We talked it over. Hilary, Colonel Hunt and I. We agreed that all the talk was childish. So we made a pact and each of us signed it in the office of the Prime Minister of Nepal. Each one signed his own statement. I have a copy of Hilary's statement which I carry in my pocket. It reads, Kathmandu, June 22, 1953. On May 29th, Tenzing Sherpa and I left our high camp on Mountain Everest for our attempt on the summit. As we climbed upwards to the south summit, first one and then the other would take a turn at ledging. We crossed over the south summit and moved along the summit ridge. We reached the summit almost together. We embraced each other, overjoyed at our success. Then I took photograph of Tenzing holding aloft the flags of Great Britain, Nepal, the United Nations and India. Signed E.P. Hilary. There is another paper like this in English, signed by me. Thus we will not take part in any controversy. As the statement says, Hilary and I embraced when we reached the top. We did as well as our bulky equipment would let us. I remember saying to him, we have done it, but we couldn't hear. We had our oxygen mask on. First thought. My first thought on reaching the top was a sense of gratitude to God, that after having failed 6 times, He had blessed me with fulfillment of this desire I had held so long. I placed on the summit the offerings to God that I had carried with me. This is in accord with my religion. Both my wife and I are Buddhist. I could not kneel because of my clothes and equipments, but I offered a silent prayer in my heart. The offerings were biscuits, candy, and a little blue pencil. My youngest daughter, Nima, had given me the pencil before I left home. She asked me to put it on the top of the mountain as her offering. It was an ordinary blue pencil, not even a long one, but it was one of her prized possessions. As I put it down, I pointed it out to Hilary. He gave me a big smile, showing that he understood. Then I got out the flags which I had on a piece of string about 4 feet long. I fastened one end to my ice axe, and Hilary took pictures as I held it up. As I had to bring my ice axe down with me, I buried one end of the string in the ice on the top, and the other in snow on the slope down below. When we left, they were lying flat against the summit. I was very thirsty. I took out a water tumbler for a drink, but found the water in the metal container had frozen. So I couldn't quench my thirst. I ate some biscuits and offered some to Hilary. I was wearing a red scarf which my great friend Lambert, leader of the 1952 Swiss expedition, had given me last year. It was just a year ago, on May 20th, when we were standing at 28,215 feet, that he gave me the scarf. I wore it all the way up the mountain from Darjeeling. As I stood at the top, I remembered him and felt that he was with me. I felt absolutely fit at the summit. My mind was absolutely clear. I didn't feel tired. I felt exhilarated. It was a very clear sensation. Below, all these hills and mountains looked like gods and goddesses to me. The plains below looked like so many broken pieces of the map. 2 or 3 people could stand there on the roof of the world if you cut ice. 20 or 30 feet below the top, there was enough flat square for 2 people to sleep. You could pitch one tent there. The summit is flat on one side and steep on the other. There is snow on the northern side, rocks on the south, and east, and snowy rock on the west. We stayed on the top a little more than 15 minutes. We were lucky that there was no gale, or it would have swept us off. My next thought was how to get down safely.